Okay, I'm going to do one more glaze combination. On this one, I'm going to use Coleman Red in the middle, on the inside. Stir that up really well. The other thing that's very true about glazing is it always takes longer than you think it's going to take. So, you know, when I say I'm going to be glazing for an hour, I'm usually glazing for 2 hours. So just know that that's part of the process too. You get faster at it, especially the more well planned out you are. So I'm putting Coleman Red on the inside. And quickly dumping it out and twisting the mug as I go down. Shake that a little bit. This time I'm going to do kind of a sideways dip. Doesn't have to be straight, especially if you have a very simple form. I'm keeping it upside down. You see what I mean though, in terms of a diagonal dip? That makes, just for something a little different. Then I'm going to use Wright's green on the outside. And Wright's green is here. And because I did a diagonal dip this way, I'm going to do a diagonal dip this way on the outside. So you see that? Can you see the overlap there? That can make for a different color. Alright, so I'm going to very carefully show you the bottom here. Even though I waxed this pot, you see how there's some little drips of glaze still? You got to wipe that off. It's easiest to do it when it's wet. There's some there. If you let it dry, you just have to rub a little harder. But you got to clean all those drips off the bottom. Otherwise, if you leave glaze on the bottom of your pot, we may put it on the reject shelf for you to do. Because when we're loading the kilns, if we have to wipe the bottoms of your pots, it makes loading the kiln take a lot longer. So, in order to encourage you to wipe the bottoms really well, we'll put those on the reject shelf to remind you. I like to use gem slip sometimes, not on everything, but it makes for some nice little details, like on this mug here, where these marks right here are gem slip on top of the yellow Ferguson. And this is gem slip on top of the Tomoku, or something similar. While I have the camera up close, I'm going to just go ahead and show you. This is the Coleman Red and Wright's Green pot. Very similar. I did a diagonal dip here, whereas this is more straight dip. But this pot will look like this pot, hopefully, after it's fired. Alright, so the gem slip, you got to stir it up well. And it will, if you put it on too thick, it'll blister. And if you put it on too thin, you don't see it at all. So, you know, that's just part of the game that you got to figure out about how thick to make the gem slip application. So I'm going to put a little gem slip on these two bowls. One, I'm on this Ferguson and yellow. This is Ferguson yellow and green celadon. Where it overlapped, I think I'll put some stripes there, or some little lines. So I'm just going to do like a little line, and then I'm going to get more gem slip, and then I'm going to do a little line, and then I'm going to get more gem slip. So you don't want to, even though it looks like it's painting on, If you try to make the gem slip go too far, it won't show up. All right, so here we go again. I'm gonna do 1, 2, maybe 2, 1, 2. It just gives it some other little detail. Okay. So on this mug, or not mug, but this bowl, I'm gonna do some squares because there's like kind of like a little square pattern there. So I think I'm just gonna go with that. And I'm gonna put a line across the top. And this may not show up as good on this darker glaze, but I'm just gonna do some little quick, loose squares. If you have the suggestion of something, like this sort of suggested a square to me, then listen to that. And you don't want to try to put something on your pot that doesn't fit on your pot. There's a little glaze right there I just saw, so I'm going to wipe that off. Okay, back to the gem slip. I know the lighting is not really good here, so hopefully this is going to show up in the video. When you see me hesitate, like I'll do this and then this and then I hesitate, I'm actually kind of waiting on the gem slip to go down to the tip of my brush. Alright, so that's that, and that one's done, ready to go into the kiln house. Alright, I'm cleaning up, putting the lid back on everything, make sure it's on nice and straight. Don't put it on crooked and leave it for someone else to find hard to undo. Put all my tools away, and then I'm going to, oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. I just remembered this. On the bottom of this mug, the glaze kind of pooled a little bit on the bottom edge. So I'm going to take this green scrubby and lightly dust or sand that a little bit. And it's better to do this out kind of away from people so that the silica dust doesn't get on them or on yourself. So just a little sanding. See, there's a little bump right there. Or if I had my metal rib, here I could use this. I could actually kind of cut a little off if it's a big puddle, and then go back and sand it a little smoother. So that just gives me a little extra insurance that this glaze is not going to run. Okay, and then give it another wipe with your sponge. All right, so you want to make sure that you have the right firing slip with each pot. And then we're going to take it and put it on the shelf in the kiln house. I'm going to start taking these pots to put them in the kiln house. So follow me and I'll show you where we put them. This is what we refer to as the kiln house, and right inside the door here are some electric kilns, and these are what we use for the cone 6 oxidation and for the bisque firings. So this first kiln is the cone 6 glaze kiln, and the other 3 kilns are all for firing bisque in. Come on in, and this first shelf right here is where you put anything that you want to fire in the cone 6 oxidation kiln. Over here is our cone 10 reduction kiln. It is full and almost ready to be fired. We have to put the door in, and then we will fire that puppy up. Over on this side of the room is where we put the glazed work that is ready to go into the cone 10. notice this poster. It shows you the different glazes that like hot, and the different glazes that like medium, and the different glazes that like cold. Now if you use a glaze that likes cold and medium, where do you put it? So I've got a pot that has Coleman red and Ferguson green on it. I'd probably put it in the medium. So just usually you can go with one or the other, it doesn't matter that much. These are Ferguson yellow and Celadon green. So both of these pots are going on the shelf over here that's marked cold. I would recommend you put it towards the back with your firing slip in there. Both of my pots have the firing slips there. If you put it on the front, then someone else has to move your pot in order to get their pot behind you, or they have to risk lifting their pot over your pot. This area is typically where we put pots that are ready to be bisque fired. So this is showing the glazing area from a distance, and you see there in the front there's 3 buckets. One that says first rinse, second rinse, and then third rinse or final rinse. So that way, if you put your dirtiest stuff in the first rinse, and then by the time you get to the third bucket, you've got a nice clean rinse. And on down this sidewalk, this area over here is the cone 6 glazes and things that you might use for the cone 6 oxidation as well as the salt kiln. All right, let's go down to the back of the kiln house and I'll show you the kilns that we have back there. All right, these 2 barrel kilns are both raku kilns that we're not using this summer, but we'll get back to them. Over here behind us is the salt kiln, and it's a massive kiln. It is also loaded and just about ready to be fired, so that's exciting. And if you have things that you want to put in the salt kiln, you can see yesterday, I'm going to just very carefully pick this pot up and show you. See how it has the wads on the bottom that we talked about? So this wadding is not just regular clay. It is actually a material that has alumina in it so that it doesn't stick to the kiln shelf. And you can see the cones in the bottom and the cones in the top on this kiln. This is the way we use to determine the temperature on the kiln and see if it's even top and bottom. If you want to put something in the salt kiln, over here to the right is where we store pots that want to go into the salt kiln. Another kiln that we have is our soda kiln, which is right now empty, just got unloaded. And this is for people who have a soda class. So not everybody can use this all the time. If you're in a soda class, you can use this kiln. Last kiln is over behind over this way, and this is our brand new cone 10 kiln that we're just getting inaugurated. I think John has fired it 1 time. So there'll be some cone 10 pots fired in that kiln as well. So all this is sort of behind the kiln house and outside the hand building studio door. Okay, well that's all that I have to say about glazing. There's a lot to know and there's a lot to learn. And you're just gonna have to start simply and then get more and more complex with your ideas and more experimental. It's really an art in and of itself, the glazing process. So be patient with yourself. Look at other people's work, get ideas from them, and just realize that sometimes you will get pots back that look totally different than what you thought they were going to be. And my suggestion is take those pots home and live with them for a little while and see if maybe you can start to appreciate the beauty that's within them. Sometimes I've had pots that I was so disappointed when I first got it out of the kiln, and then after I looked at it for a while, I started liking it more and more. Anyway, you're going to each have your own teachers talking to you about their particular ideas about glazing. I hope this will give you a good foundation, and then you can go from here. All right, so that's my story for today. This is where all the magic happens in these kilns. Thank you. I want to say thank you for all that you're doing to help support Callanwolde during this time. It's a great community of people, and we love you all. All right, best wishes, everybody. Talk to you soon.